Mike Dell's World number 438, and today is the 21st of February, 2026.
Well, thank you very much, and we're thrilled to be joined by one of the most successful business leaders and people anywhere in the country, whether it's technology, no matter what business you're talking about, there's really nobody quite like him. Michael Dell, very much of a legend, who's here with his really exciting announcement. It's so amazing.
Well, I don't really have an amazing announcement. I don't know. Of course, I played that on the last episode, however many months ago, and just thought I'd play it again. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. Of course, almost 2 months late, but hey, it is what it is. I have been doing a daily weekday show. Well, doing a daily show, as you guys know, back in November. And then after that, I continued on doing a week daily show called Cup of Traverse City. You can find that over at cupoftraversity.com. And that, every morning, 5 days a week, I've been doing a little 5-minute talk about the weather, talk about a news story here locally and all that. So that's been going along pretty good. So if you're missing hearing my melodious tone, you can go over there and listen to that, and you'll know more about Traverse City weather than anybody. Anyhow, that's what I've been up to. That and plowing snow. Oh my gosh. First couple months here has just been crazy of winter. We got a little break about 2 weeks ago. It stopped snowing, and about a week ago it got into the 40s for an extended period of time. So a lot of the snow has melted down. I have a Yallometer. Probably don't know what that is. There's a YouTuber out there, Ryan Hall, a weather guy, and he sells these fancy snow meters, and of course I picked one of them up and planted it in my yard outside the studio here, and I can look out and see how deep the snow gets. And it was up over 12 inches in a non-windy part of the lawn and under the trees, and so it pretty accurate of what is currently on the ground. Well, it was up, like I said, over 12 inches, and now, it was down to blank ground until last night, and last night we got, I guess, about 3 inches of snow, something like that, 2, 3, nothing too crazy, and it was the real heavy, wet stuff that sticks to all the trees and the phone poles and the phone lines and all the power lines, whatever, so it was that real sticky stuff. And, later in the afternoon, it was all off the roads and all that. One of the things that was kind of funny, it was all stacked up on my truck. Well, I pre-start my truck, the remote start. And I went to Coffee Clatch this morning over at the EAA, or Legacy Aviation Building, actually, since that was the topic of my last episode. Gosh, it's been that long. But anyway, go over to coffee over there every Saturday morning, and as I was, I pre-run my truck, for 10 minutes and get in the truck and drive over there, and that was fine. And then I got in the truck afterwards and had to go run some errands, and I come up to a roundabout, coming out of the airport area there, and hit the brakes, and all of the snow came off, not only the truck part, but the topper part, and it all slid down and landed on my hood. And so here I am going through this roundabout with my windshield completely covered with a bunch of snow. So I actually had to pull off the side and get the snow brush out and brush all the snow back off the hood and windshield of my truck. What I don't understand is, why does it wait until you go forward to fall off forward rather than slide off the back? You would think when you accelerate, it would slide off the back. Nope, it always slides forward. That happens I don't know. It's happened to me 2 or 3 times this winter. It's just I don't know. Maybe it's the nature of that vehicle. Yeah, it was a little comical. Luckily, there wasn't a lot of cars on the road or anything, so I was able to not hit anybody or go off the road or anything. But that was a little bit exciting there. So basically what I really want to talk about, and this is what prompted me to do an episode this evening, is I had a very, very, very poor customer service experience. I went to dinner with my mom. My wife's downstate visiting her family. And so I went to dinner with Mom and, met her over at Red Lobster, if you have to know. But met her over there and we had dinner and chit-chatted. And on my way back, I'll swing into Shell. I got to pick up a couple things. We have these Shell mini marts around here. Okay, it's a convenience store, gas station. You're familiar with them, I'm sure. But anyway, I had like 4 items, whatever. And I walk up towards the counter, and they have all these signs in front of all the cash registers. Use the whatever it was called. And I didn't stick around to study it much. But they have this thing that, I don't know, I guess it looks like a hot plate. Or, I don't know, like if you go into a restaurant or something, or not even a restaurant, but a deli or whatever, where they have a hot case, where they have a heat lamp and have food in there to keep it warm, whatever. It looked a lot like that, other than it was kind of flat. But it had like all these cameras around it. And that's the new self-check thing. And basically you're supposed to put your items on this platform and then get out of the way. They had somebody behind the counter telling people how to use it. So that's strike one right there. If I can't figure it out on my own, what good is it to have it? But I guess the upshot of that is I said, do we really have to use this? And she reluctantly said, no, I can get you over here. Went over to one of the regular checkouts and did it. And then she didn't ask me if I wanted a bag. I'm like, oh, come on. Really? I got 4 items. 3 of them don't fit in my pocket. And they'd be really awkward to carry out to the vehicle and then carry into the house. So, yes, I want a freaking bag. Always ask, or just put it in a freaking bag. That doesn't happen anywhere anymore. You want a bag? At the grocery store, they'll ask you if you want paper or plastic. And I always tell them, well, I don't care, whatever's easiest. One time I said I'm bisexual, and they didn't understand that. I thought it was funny. But, the grocery store, they'll ask you, paper or plastic? I say, whatever's easiest. I don't care. I kind of wish they'd get rid of those plastic grocery bags. And we're lucky around here. They don't charge us for those. I know a lot of places they do charge you for a bag, which I guess is okay. I could carry around a cloth grocery bag. I'm cool with that, whatever, But anyway, the lack of customer service and also this newfangled scanner thing, I just like, why? What was wrong with, you still got somebody standing there explaining it to everybody. Just have them check us out. I just don't get it. Like I go to, Walmart or Meijer or our local Tom's or Olson's, whatever. You have the choice of doing self-checkout or cashier checkout. I don't mind doing self-checkout if I'm not buying booze or something that requires an ID. But then, you go to a self-checkout and it requires ID, then you got that problem. I was at Meijer's yesterday, bought a new pair of tennis shoes. Or I guess they don't call them tennis shoes anymore. I guess I'm getting old. What the hell? Turned 60 and everything went to hell on me. But I went to Meijer's and bought a pair of shoes, and of course, I can go through the checkout, the self-checkout. Oh, still, they scan them and beep, 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 whatever. And of course, they had, some sort of sensor in the shoes and all that. So, the self-checkout didn't save me any time and didn't save them any labor. But yeah, I really don't understand this thing at this Shell station. It's the only one in town I've seen so far. And we got like 6 or 7 of these Shell mini marts around, and this is the only one I've ever seen. Hopefully that's not a trend and they're just testing something out, and hopefully they'll get terrible feedback. In fact, I'm going to write a nasty gram to their corporate, not Shell corporate, but I forget, what is it, True North? They're a big chain, mostly Shell stations in Ohio and Michigan. And yeah, I was going to write to them and say, hey, I don't like this idea. You got people there anyway. What's the big deal to have them check us out? And why don't they ask you for a bag? And why don't they ask you, or why do they ask you if you want a receipt? Just give me the damn receipt. If it prints it, hand it to me. I don't care. I really don't care if I get the receipt, but just, yeah, it's crazy. And, and then have a good one. That's the common greeting, or whatever. And like, have a good what? I'm not having a good experience. Whatever. So me being a grumpy old guy here, but yeah, that was quite the annoyance. I would say would be the right word for it. I'm going to avoid that particular location of that store now from now on. I passed 3 of them on the way home, and I picked that one to go to. Now we have another chain of convenience store gas stations. Used to be called Holiday Stores, but they rebranded to Circle K. They were, they'd been owned by Circle K for quite a while. I'm sure, wherever you're from, there's probably Circle K's, but up North Michigan, there was Holiday Stores, and they haven't changed a bit. I mean, just to change the sign, but there's very, very attentive people working there, and it's a decent experience. Subway's similar. It's not Subway. Well, Subway's got its own issues. Speedway. Now that's a chain that I believe was mostly Midwest and Florida. When they were big in Florida for whatever reason. Well, that got bought out by 7-Eleven. So you go into a Speedway now. It's still branded Speedway, but everything in there is 7-Eleven, which, like I said, I have no particular problem with. But since that happened, they're not very good at customer service. They do have a self-checkout, and some of the Shell stations do too. Further downstate, there's another chain of Shell stations called Johnny's, and they have a self-checkout, but by no means do they make you use it or even encourage you to use it. It's just there if you want to use it, and that's the way it ought to be. It's because oh man, get off my lawn. Anyway, I work in customer service at Blueberry. You guys know that, and my main job is to keep the customers happy and keep them coming in, get more of them. And I don't have an attitude with my customers. Now, I might bitch about them, internally, just to blow off some steam when they do some stupid stuff. But for the most part, I try to be as helpful as I can. And, as long as it's within the, scope of what I am supposed to do, I will do it for them. And sometimes even outside of that, go the little extra mile for certain customers and for certain things. Now, if they're complaining about their website and we had nothing to do with their website, well, sorry, I'm just not a web designer. Can't really help you with that, but give them some suggestions on where to go. But, I wouldn't dream of rolling my eyes at a customer, even though generally I'm on the phone or email. But, this person, when you said, do we have to use this? She rolled her eyes. And, and then when I asked for a bag, she rolled her eyes again. And, it was just like, really, and then you go to a lot of places now, that wouldn't, like you do takeout food, fast food, and they have do you want to leave a tip? No, I don't want to leave a tip. You didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I'll leave it for, like a regular restaurant and I'm doing a carry out order. I'll do a tip, but it won't be the full, 20% that I would do if I was going in there to sit down. But I'll give a little tip there. But, I was at McDonald's. I was on the road last week. Had to go to a doctor's appointment about an hour and a half north of here. Don't ask me why. But that's where I had to go. And on the way back, I stopped at McDonald's. And, of course, they have all the kiosks to order your food, which I don't particularly have a problem with, but I didn't order at the kiosk. I went up the counter and ordered. Why not? Still an option. And, keep those people busy. And, of course, when I go to pay, there's a tip thing. Has anybody really ever tipped at McDonald's? I mean, come on, this tip culture is gone crazy. I'll tip where tipping is, customary, but, not at McDonald's. Come on, guys. And besides that, where do the tips go anyway? I guarantee they're not going all in the employees' pockets. Or if they are, it's some sort of pooling thing. And, they get paid, $15, $20 an hour to be there. I don't think they need my tip for a, $10 breakfast or whatever. But anyway. All right. Now I'm done grumping. I'll try to add more content here, but again, you want to catch me on a regular basis, cupoftraversity.com, or also over at podcastinsider.com. I'm on 2 out of 3 episodes usually, or sometimes 3 out of 4, something like that. Anyway, catch you guys later.